It lost 97% of its people. Oh my God. I remember back in like COVID days, everybody was posting about this. Everybody was talking about this. BetterHelp. And even now, I think Theo Vaughn recently got a partnership with them. I feel like he probably didn't know, right? Because he's not like in tune with YouTube the same way a lot of other people are. But man,
BetterHelp is one of the biggest YouTube sponsors of the past decade and was exposed for exploiting vulnerable users, using unqualified therapists, and selling sensitive user data. It seemed like the scandal was the end of them, with tens of thousands of users unsubscribing, hundreds of angry comments on videos sponsored by BetterHelp, and their parent company stock crashing 97%.
Jesus.
But now, they're back, sponsoring more creators.
See, that's what I fucking thought. I was like, what do you mean they lost 97%? Because I see these guys again a lot now too. What's BetterHelp? So BetterHelp was like an app that allowed people to basically get therapy over the internet. But the problem is that there was a lot of quality control and a lot of ethical components that were ignored. That's what BetterHelp was, just so you guys were on the same page.
Than ever. But are they actually better? Anxiety, depression, and many other mental health disorders are huge challenges for many. Not only that, but they've been on the rise for some time. Yet, simultaneously, traditional therapy is inaccessible to many people. It's expensive.
It's way too expensive. Like, I had a friend, non-streamer, who was like recently going to therapy, and they told me how much money it was. Man, that's crazy.
Requires physical presence and is frankly just less flexible than what online services usually offer.
Yeah, sure.
That's where BetterHelp came in. They launched in 2013 and they seemed like a game changer. Patients signed up and were matched with a therapist and had sessions via call, text, video, whichever they were most comfortable with. If they didn't connect with their therapist, they could be matched to a new one.
Yeah, sure.
No cost, no hassle.
Right.
Not only that, but it was cheaper than most traditional practices, meaning that therapy was now far more accessible to those who needed it.
Yeah, why would it be cheaper?
Is great. Over the coming years, BetterHelp started building momentum. By 2018, they were sponsoring thousands of YouTubers, and the company exploded in popularity. The pandemic had confined everyone indoors, and demand for remote therapy was at an all-time high. BetterHelp naturally capitalized on this opportunity by spending more than $7 million on podcast sponsorships in December of 2020 alone. They spent
$7 million in one fucking month? Oh my God. They never sponsored me. Fuck them, man. Fuck them.
$38.7 million in total for 2020, making them the highest spender on podcasts.
Nonsense? I don't know.
But during BetterHelp's...
I think therapy, like, you want to hear my honest opinion about it? I feel like it probably, like, things like therapy work as well as you let them work. And I think that there's probably like, you know, like it takes two to tango, right? Where like, yes, absolutely, therapy can work for you, but it won't if you don't let it work. And I think that also for some people, it just won't work.
The cracks slowly began to appear. Firstly, users started reporting some strange experiences with their platform, many of which had a common theme.
My first therapist was 10 minutes late to our 10-minute meeting, our first initial meeting. And then she was like, oh, wow, we don't have a lot of time. And then she kept trying to sell me her book. So I contacted them.
Wait, bro. I feel like I was AFK for like 10 seconds. Let me listen to this again. Wait, what? No. Wait a sec.
Which had a common theme.
My first therapist was 10 minutes late to our 10-minute meeting, our first initial meeting. And then she was like, oh, wow, we don't have a lot of time. And then she kept trying to sell me her book. So
she said like
I contacted them and I got a different therapist. He was also late and just completely missed our first meeting. We set a second one. He missed that one. And then he just texted like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I was at my other job. And I was just like, what the
I feel like that's especially bad whenever you're talking about people that have like mental problems. Is like, that's what's so crazy about it, is like the commodification of that. Like, that's actually so bad.
Quality of therapists varied wildly. Some saw their therapist cooking or shopping mid-session, which naturally makes patients feel uncomfortable. One patient, after discussing career goals, had her therapist send her a patronizing YouTube video to watch after their session that told her, "It's natural to want to do big things, even if it's never going to happen for you."
I'll say personally, that's probably the least problematic thing that I've heard. That's base, yeah, yeah, but it's still problematic. I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know the nature of it. It's a harsh reality. Yeah, I feel like you always do people like you do. This is a problem. I think that some people, and I could be talking out my ass with this, right? But like, I'm just giving like what I think. I think some people go to therapy and they want the therapist to tell them that the way that they feel is right and it's justified. And I think that oftentimes people are going there for validation rather than reality and help. And I think that there could be an example of that right there. Yeah, but in therapy, exactly. Paying someone just to listen. Yeah, and it's like, are you really doing the person a favor by telling them that they deserve to be a movie star? Like, are you really helping them? I say no.
Another patient had a therapist encourage them to put their baby up for adoption because their friend really wanted a baby. One Reddit user shared,
Okay, all right. So I had to, I'm out, all right? I'm out. Like, the first one, I was like, okay, sure, yeah, all right, I can understand. I'm out. Yeah.
a horrifying experience. He implied that his life was almost perfect and that I should be like him. At a certain moment, he wanted to imply I had signs of narcissism in me, and having suffered from narcissistic abuse pretty much my whole life, that was very hard to hear.
Damn.
I had never felt this unsafe with a therapist before. He admitted himself to being a narcissist. I couldn't stop crying, and every time I tried to say something, I would cry even more. He then said, "Now you have 1 minute to share your final thoughts before our time is over." Thankfully, this user received
Bro, this guy just had a therapy session with Patrick Bateman. What the fuck? What?
the therapy they needed outside of BetterHelp.
What?
However, despite their trauma and only using the service for less than a week, BetterHelp only refunded 50% of the month's subscription.
What?
Putting the money aside though, what the hell was going on there? How are so many BetterHelp therapists so awful? Well,
By the way, I bet there are real therapists that things like this happen with. But it's probably a ratio that's lower than this. For sure.
as it turns
for
out, BetterHelp employed many unqualified therapists.
Yeah.
According to them, it was the patient's job to verify if the therapist was qualified.
That's good. That's
This
convenient
one
for
says
them.
that they don't guarantee the verification of the skills, degrees,
Just
qualifications,
PewDiePie? Yeah.
certification, credentials, competence, or background of any counselor. With
So
better
they don't even know who they are. But you could sign up and be Count Chocula. And you just, there it is, right? Now it's ready for you. You know, it's like, well, you know, I'm having problems with my school. Well, kill yourself. I guess that's it. Yeah, I actually, you know what I should have done? I need to do this more. Imagine if I had gone and tried to sign up for one of these myself. I should have done this. I should have tried to sign up and be a therapist and see what happened. But no, because just to see what would happen, right? To test it out. You probably can't live stream it? No, of course not. I wish I had more time in the day to do more stuff. That's always a problem. I always feel like I run out of time. Like there's always extra things I'd like to do like that.
help, you'll be talking to professionals. Just beware that it's your responsibility to determine whether they are or not. It's your
Damn, that's
responsibility
crazy.
to determine whether they have any degree or qualification or certification or all these things.
Once users learned of this, the controversy exploded.
Yeah.
BetterHelp
I remember
quickly
whenever this
removed this
popped
from their
off.
terms in 2018, but the damage had already been done.
Yep.
The evidence was damning. If vulnerable patients experience horrible therapy, it can very well prevent them from getting help in the future, even from traditional practices.
Yeah.
My one session with a BetterHelp therapist re-traumatized me to the point where I don't know if I'll ever go back to therapy again.
Shockingly, that's not even the end of it. BetterHelp was concealing another massive problem that caught the eyes of the US government.
How do you run a therapy app so badly that the government gets involved? Like that, I mean, you think about that, that's crazy. Like that's almost impressive. Like, damn.
Somehow, BetterHelp returned. The company has recently emerged with a wave of new YouTube sponsorships and a brand new marketing campaign. In Q3 of 2022, they sponsored 392 YouTube videos.
Wow.
1 year later, they sponsored just under 2,000 videos.
Man.
In March of 2024 alone, they spent $8.2 million on podcast advertising.
Wait, that's crazy. Like, that's way more than they even spent back in, they said 2018, and that was a lot of 7 million. And now it's 8? What the fuck? Where do they get the money?
Their marketing strategy is aggressive, as they are determined to recover their brand image and to claim back their market share. But have they improved their service? Well, their number of therapists has increased dramatically. In 2021, they had a total of 16,000 therapists.
I feel like the number of therapists isn't really a good indicator. It's like if I say your hamburger shop doesn't have very good hamburgers and they tell me they have 34,000 hamburgers, you know what I mean? Right? Like, what?
But by 2024, they have 34,000, a massive leap.
Yeah.
What BetterHelp really needed, though, wasn't quantity. It was quality.
That's what I
BetterHelp
said.
states that it only accepts 15% of therapists who apply, but the testimonies are still concerning. In 2024, a clinical psychologist tried the platform as a client and had a strange experience with their therapist. Seemed ill at ease and unsure how to proceed. She made inappropriate self-disclosures about her own health problems. When I mentioned the problem with night eating, I saw a weird expression come across her face, and she mentioned that she struggled with the same problem. Without much assessment, she offered solutions that were absurd. She suggested I monitor the night eating and give yourself a star as a reward.
Yeah, I remember we did that in was it like first grade? We did that shit. Yeah, I remember this. Damn, that's... People that are saying don't need to be a degree to become a licensed therapist, to become a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You do need a degree. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, I know that. Actually, that's actually not true. I didn't know that. I didn't know that you could be a therapist without having a degree. I just thought that in order to be a psychiatrist, you needed a more advanced degree. That's crazy.
He described that his second therapist threw out a bunch of tips from her therapy trick bag and hoped that some might stick. And while they seemed like plausible solutions, she didn't investigate my experience in detail enough to know if they could be appropriate. The structure and setup of the platform may make therapists jittery, pressing them into achieving quick results and using superficial interventions. Another user who tried the platform stated, "My therapist was great, but definitely was not 100% present. She seemed distracted." BetterHelp still seems to place an emphasis on quantity over quality.
Yeah, of course.
This is bad, but it's made even worse by how BetterHelp markets its service. In 2020, the journalism website Jezebel began investigating something unsettling. As it turned out, BetterHelp was taking users' extremely personal information and selling them to advertisers. Jezebel
That's nuts.
stated that
Man.
they began to silently slip data to dozens of third parties, monitoring our behavior online and signaling to companies like Facebook and Google and Snapchat and Pinterest that we were considering BetterHelp treatment. Facebook, for instance, is alerted every time a person opens the app, essentially signaling to the social media company how often we were going to a session.
So Facebook, through telemetry, could automatically detect where you are because they have your location. They could find out whether you're getting therapy or not. And then they also have access to their pictures. They could use an AI, go through and figure out if you're fat or not. So Facebook theoretically could capitalize on a person who's depression eating by showing them more McDonald's ads every time they open up BetterHelp. Theoretically. There's nothing that says that that can't happen. But there's a lot of reasons saying it can.
When we booked our appointments, BetterHelp didn't even deny the allegations, as they didn't see the issue. They stated that their methods were standard and that they typically far exceed all applicable regulatory, ethical, and legal requirements. However, this didn't exactly comfort users. Word of these practices soon spread, and people were outraged. This was an immense breach of privacy. Many online platforms do sell user data, but this was different. Traditional therapy has something called a patient privilege. Information shared between a patient and their therapist is completely confidential because the details are extremely personal. Maybe
it's
it
the
could
same as like, a lot of things like that. There's like same with doctors.
be argued that app usage data is not technically covered by patient privilege, but it's definitely in gray area. I suppose
Well, it's not a gray area. It very clearly is not part of this. No, I think actually it is. It would have to be, because if they're taking the information and the information is being procured for the purpose of you seeking medical treatment, like, your age, your race, everything like that, like this is all factored into you seeking therapy treatment, and it's used, so then it would be information that should be protected by therapist client privilege, because even app data like HIPAA, yeah, exactly, it's unethical. It should be, yeah. I feel like it. They aren't a real therapist. That's not the point. That's crazy.
BetterHelp forgot to mention this in their list of benefits over traditional practices. A storm was going around BetterHelp, and it was about to get worse. The US Federal Trade Commission took action against BetterHelp, and the list of accusations was damning. To capitalize on these consumers' health information, BetterHelp handed it over to numerous third-party advertising platforms, including Facebook, Pinterest, Snapchat, and Criteo, often permitting these companies to use the information for their own research and product development as well. BetterHelp also failed to provide consumers with proper notice as to the collection, use, and disclosure of their health information.
Yeah,
the company didn't admit to any charges.
That's the difference, right? Is like, we're talking about like email addresses. Like, I mean, you could maybe make the argument that like the way that the way that your phone interacts with the app is like okay, but you are looking at like verifiable information that's not like just kind of gathered through cookies, but these are bits of information that the user provides in the context of it being a therapy. I think it's undeniable. It's not even a question whether this is good or bad. Yeah, it is.
But was ordered to pay $7.8 million in refunds to 800,000 patients, which equated to a pitiful $10 per person. Most importantly though, BetterHelp was forbidden from sharing consumers' personal information for retargeting, among many other restrictions. BetterHelp's reputation was ruined, and many YouTubers promoting them started receiving severe backlash. After this, BetterHelp went quiet, at least for a while.
BetterHelp.
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 BetterHelp. BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp.
BetterHelp. BetterHelp.
Therapy can be expensive, and the price of finding a therapist that you like and connect with can be overwhelming, which is why BetterHelp offers a more affordable alternative to in-person therapy.
But therapy can seem like this big, intimidating thing.
Boogie, yeah. Think about that. Look who they all are. Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? Is like, there's a million fucking scams out there. There's a million things like this. Like, I wouldn't really even make a lot of it. Like, anytime, like, there's scam ads on TV, etc. Yeah. That's just the way it is.
Right? Well, that's where BetterHelp comes in, because their goal is to make therapy less intimidating.
I do feel like at this point, though, like, you probably should know. Like, if you're taking ads out for this at this point, like, what are you doing?
more accessible.
They consistently position themselves as the cheaper, more accessible alternative to traditional practices. On their landing page, they list all kinds of benefits you get with BetterHelp, which you don't have at in-office practices. Benefits include messaging, texting, phone calls, video calls, worksheets, and much more. The problem with this is that most of this is complete nonsense. Most professional in-office therapists offer most of these benefits, but
they do. I was about to say easy scheduling, so you don't get easy scheduling. Like, what a subjective thing to say. Video sessions? You really think therapists didn't do video sessions during COVID? Like, is like, how do you? I'm surprised they even got away with saying this. It's crazy. I feel like this is like, yeah, what the fuck?
Doesn't stop BetterHelp from putting a big red cross in all of these. BetterHelp isn't a replacement for traditional therapy. In fact, they even say this themselves. Our services may not be appropriate for every particular situation and or a substitute for certain mental health needs that might require in-person therapy services.
Yeah, I think they're probably just saying that as a disclaimer for a legal reason. Like, I see them say this and I think to myself, oh yeah, I wonder why you're saying this. You're probably saying this because you don't want to get sued. Like, that's really what's going on here.
To say, do not disregard, avoid, or delay in obtaining in-person care from your doctor or other qualified professional because of information or advice you received through the platform. BetterHelp's therapists also cannot diagnose any conditions, even though many are qualified to do so. It's fine for BetterHelp to supplement other health services.
So they're like cosplaying? Like, what is this? Like, that's wow.
It's also fine for BetterHelp to not diagnose patients, given that appointments are over call or text. But BetterHelp doesn't advertise themselves as an addition to existing therapy. Their marketing promotes them as the solution and replacement. It leads people into using their service, even if it's not the best solution for them. But that's not even the end of it. If we look at the big picture, something else is going on at BetterHelp. BetterHelp is actually owned by another company.
Here we go. Okay, now we know where the money's coming from.
Teladoc, which hasn't been doing so hot. Their shares peaked in 2021 at $293.
That's pretty damn good.
And today, they are down over 97% to $8 a share, and their income is even worse. The company has burnt billions getting to where they are, and they still aren't profitable, having burnt $1 billion in the most recent 12-month period. We don't have BetterHelp specific financial data, but the data that we do have is already not in their favor. In Q3 of 2023, BetterHelp had 459,000 paying users. Next quarter, that dropped to 425,000, then down to 415,000.
Yeah.
These numbers continue to drop in 2024, which illuminates what's actually happening with BetterHelp. Their recent surge in marketing isn't a triumphant, defiant return. It's a last attempt to survive. The controversy is
good. I mean, like, the thing is that some things shouldn't be commodified. Like, you should, like, for example, it's great that we have DoorDash and you can order McDonald's and have it delivered to your house. Oh, yeah. But, like, we're talking about therapy. Like, this is like, yeah, healthcare. Like, yeah, you're commodifying this. Like, this is scary, bro. Like, what the fuck? Labs, yeah, exactly. Some things should not exist. Exactly. Yeah, no, this is scary.
Caused an exodus of users, and it seems that BetterHelp is struggling to hold on to the rest or replace the ones that are leaving. The company may have inflicted too much self-harm to bounce back. I know this video has largely been critical of BetterHelp, but BetterHelp is a great idea, just with poor execution.
I actually don't think so. I don't think BetterHelp is a good idea. I think that, like, I mean, you could say the idea of people being able to access therapists remotely is a good idea, but I think that the fundamental nature of this app is prone for abuse. And it's like one of the things where there are a lot of things that you can do that have like a 1% chance of going right and a 99% chance of going wrong. And I feel like BetterHelp is an example of that. Yeah, online therapy is not a good idea. Yeah, and this is like, you've got to keep in mind, this is a for-profit company. Like, this company does not exist for the best interest of, I don't know, maybe it's I don't know if it's part of a publicly traded company, but that would make it even worse. because it doesn't even exist for the benefit of the employees. It exists for the benefit of the shareholders. So true, and especially because most therapists now offer remote sessions. Yeah, I mean, like, I could see BetterHelp maybe being like, if it was changed to being something that matches you with like a local therapist, then maybe, like, I don't know, but I feel like this is rotten at the core. I don't see a way to fix this that's not unethical or immoral.
Solves a lot of problems and it does fill a need, but the company has one massive issue: priorities. One doctor put this perfectly: BetterHelp has the wrong incentives in mind and is not run clearly by people who have expertise in mental health. It's really run by people who have expertise in scaling tech companies. There is a need for accessible,
There it is.
affordable support.
Perfect.
But BetterHelp has their priorities all wrong. They don't focus on quality or providing the best care. They focus on scale and dominating the market. We can clearly see this in a recent comment from Teladoc CFO. BetterHelp right now still has room to grow on the direct-to-consumer side. We have scale. I would expect us to continue to grow and drive efficient returns and cash flows for that business. BetterHelp may very well have room to grow, but they've hurt their chances by damaging their own brand. BetterHelp doesn't need to be bigger. It needs to be better. If you're interested in deeper dives, interviews with insiders, and exclusive tech analysis, you can sign up to our free weekly newsletter. Link is below. But until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
I think, by the way, that's like the most W way to like advertise like any service that you do, is like at the end of something and be like, if you liked it, you know, here's more of it. That's, yeah, very, very good thing. I've watched a lot of Logically Answered videos before. You know, they did the torrent video that I watched a little while ago. I think that, like, fundamentally, this type of a dynamic is prone for abuse at such a level that it's dangerous for people to be involved with it. And I think that whenever you have like a actual physical location with a person who has more accountability, then that person is going to be less prone to be abusive or problematic. I'm sure that there are people that have had therapists that they've had really bad experiences with therapists. Like, I mean, I've heard of these myself, and also, like, again, you know, wow, there is a, you know, a profession where there are people in the profession that are bad at it. Like, every profession is like that, right? So, Black Belt take is, this is the best case for BetterHelp, is prepare people for having therapists waste their time. Yeah, I don't know, man. A therapist that'll gaslight you? Yeah, I'll link you guys the video. I think that they need to change their name. Like, if I was BetterHelp and like they consulted me of like, what should we do? And I couldn't tell them stop doing this, I would say they need to change their name and they need to change like the way that they advertise. Like, that's probably what they should do. Because like the name at this point is so badly, like, even if BetterHelp improves, you're always going to have YouTube commenters saying that it's a scam. Like, that's just what happens. So it's the same as like No Man's Sky or like WoW or something like that, is like, once that first impression is made and people, like the public, makes up their mind, then it's really hard to undo that first impression. And so it's kind of like what I was saying before, you know, build 100 bridges and suck one dick. You're not a bridge builder, you're a dick sucker. And I feel like BetterHelp has sucked 100 dicks. So guess what? And also, I don't even know if they've ever built a bridge at all. Problem? Oh, hey, I'm just saying, right? I've been in therapy since I was 5, since COVID, with telemeetings. Professional is smooth and easy process. Yeah, I just feel like this whole topic is like weird, bro. Like, it's very weird, and it's like the commodification of that is, I think, very dangerous. And also, like, I think that one doctor, like, really kind of put it into perspective where he's like, yeah, these people are good at making tech companies, not good at helping people, right? Like, basically, the existence of this app is not to help people, it's to make money. It's clear a business model isn't therapy, it's selling confidential data. Yeah, that's true.